required to say is not registered voters, it is active voters.
That's correct.
That is correct. Yes. And I will have the full voter count during the regular meeting. That includes inactive. But those numbers come from the state, so yes, as we discussed.
Are we good? Is everybody, are y'all ready? Good? Everybody good? Okay. I'll call this commission meeting this day to order, and the first order of business is Edge is going to lead us in the pledge and the prayer.
If you bow your heads with me, please. Heavenly Father, thank you for this opportunity to serve the citizens of Fayette County. We always want to make sure that we do the best we can in their interest. Heavenly Father, keep our first responders here in the county, across the state, and across the country safe. They do more for us than we'll ever do for them. We ask all these things in the name of Jesus. Amen.
Amen. Please stand.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States.
Have you ever gone and looked, once we submit our statement of votes cast, you know, we've uploaded everything, and you can go to the Secretary of State and check any county, right, on totals and all sorts
Next
of
item
breakdowns.
is
But have you ever
acceptance
gone
of
and
the
checked, like,
agenda.
there's
Move to
one of the
approve.
uploads that is,
Second.
We got a motion and a second. Any discussion?
totals by precinct,
All in
by
favor
vote
say
member.
aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Okay.
Okay, have you ever gone in and checked what the Secretary
Miss
of State
Cheryl.
shows,
Hey,
So good to have you today.
what you give us?
thank
On
you.
their website?
Always a pleasure to be here.
No.
Absolutely.
It's very interesting.
The registrar
So,
does, but
good
I
evening.
have not
This
personally.
is the first
registrar does?
hearing for
That
the
person
fiscal
back
year
there?
2027 budget. We did introduce
Our
the budget
previous registrar
on
has.
a special called
lived-
meeting on May 21st,
could-
and so this is the first of
The
two
reason
hearings
that I'm asking,
today. So there won't be anything,
the reason I'm asking
the
is
resolution will not be
because, this has
voted
been
on
going
today,
on
but there may
since
be other items
24,
of discussion.
where, and I don't think hardly any counties are
Oops, okay,
checking, so they
where
don't
are we
know.
at?
If you
Okay.
go in
Beginning. There
and
we
look
go.
at 24 forward,
So,
you can check any
once again,
county.
this is our projection
And,
for fiscal year
you will
2026.
see
It's the
that
same
all the
number that we
precincts
have
are
presented
listed,
at
and
the
the
retreat
totals are
and the
listed.
first presentation.
what happens is
with a
At least
total
half
fund balance,
of the
general fund
precincts,
total
when you're looking at
balance of
vote
30
method,
million,
you know, how they break down
0.3.
advanced,
Sorry, 0.8.
absentee, et cetera. You've
And
got
as you
nothing
can
but
see, the
dashes
stabilization, the
across.
CIP, emergencies, unassigned
Did
are
you
all
know
in
that
there as
on
they
on
were
our
before.
level, the local ladder, that is on the SOVC?
These
on
are
the
some
first
of the
couple
items
pages.
that we briefly discussed maybe on the
statement of votes
21st,
cast
and some items
that
that
we have
we
on our
are
website,
proposing
After
for
we're finished,
discussion.
after 5 o'clock, and we
The
certify,
first of these
the
is
SOVC
the
is converted
Griffin
to vote
Judicial
by
Circuit,
method
which
on
we
the
did
local
talk
level.
about at the
Okay,
May
can you go
look
21st
at
presentation.
the
So what this
I can
does
get it. My
is
point
basically,
is
these are the
if-
positions that
if what
were
I'm
on
seeing
Fayette County's payroll
happens in every county, and I
when
haven't
we
found
were
a county
directly
yet where it
paying the
doesn't.
Griffin Circuit employees.
I've asked the question.
We
I
have
haven't
these
seen any
employees on
county
our payroll,
that's
and all
ever
this
gone
is
in
going
and
to
checked
do
the
is now
results
that
that the Secretary
that
of
has
State is showing
transitioned over to a
for your
third
county
party. This would
versus,
just take these
our
positions,
case, we can
abolish
get the
these
statement of
positions
votes
from our
passed.
payroll.
And
since
to
we
me,
won't be
that makes
paying them.
absolutely no sense.
So that's the first item up for
And,
discussion.
and I've even asked, you know,
So the
we
second
changed
item also
providers,
deals
who
with the
uploads the
Griffin Circuit
information
budget.
in
And
24, and that's when
basically,
this
we had
changed.
talked
I
about
just
some
find it
changes
interesting
between
we
the
don't ever
percentage that had changed, how much the
So
county
we-
pays, how much the other
So like
other
the,
counties in the circuit
for
pay
instance, we
per
have
the
the
new IGA
vote method
versus what we
breakdown
had
by
been paying
precinct
based
for
on
all
court
our
cases,
voters in a
caseloads.
particular
And
election,
so
and the
we
statements of vote
made
cast.
all those
Whenever our
final
information is being transmitted to the state,
changes,
it's not being,
and basically
I guess,
our
shown in the
costs
statement
related to
properly. It's
Superior
just
Court
it's got dashes
increased
there instead.
$36,000. Our costs related to the juvenile court decreases $23,000. So it's a net increase of cost of $12,863.
Yeah, if we can go back to the first slide. I think we want them to do is we want you to look at these and actually vote on these so we can make the modification and reflect those in our second budget hearing.
makes no sense.
Is typically how we do this.
Well,
So
that's
instead of going through all of them and
I'm
going
sure
back,
why
I think
that
it'd be
would
better if
be
we just
the
handled
case,
them
especially for giving
one
them
at a
the
time. So the very first one we're
we have
asking
it down
for
there.
is for those positions to officially be abolished as part of the budget. That wouldn't go in effect until the end of June. but it'll mirror up with juvenile court,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, the Griffin Circuit Court, taking those positions and becoming effective July 1st. So we need a vote on this slide.
Move to abolish these 6 positions from Fayette County's
So,
payroll.
I was just asking
Second.
questions to see if they.
There's 10.
Oh, 10 positions, sorry.
I don't think
Yep,
we have-
thank you.
we're-
Move to abolish these 10 positions from Fayette County's payroll.
6.
And the reason for it, the
Second.
discussion we just had, Malcolm
Okay,
was
is
updating
any other
on
discussion
the
on that?
And he could maybe bring some insight. I don't know if it's the same thing, but
What's he
because
saying?
We good?
when you flipped over,
Is
I
that good?
I think we're good with this. The only question we have is with the
but you were talking about cyber
juvenile court
versus-
judges, because we're not asking you to remove juvenile court judges, obviously, but there is a portion of the judges that their salaries are grant funded, so those positions may or may not be abolished, and we'll come back and let you know at the next meeting, because we're still checking on that aspect of it. But the rest of these are correct.
Okay. It's 10? Is it 10?
Still 10 positions?
I need to hear you.
For sure, for sure, the first 7, which are the Superior Court,
I know we
Alright,
changed
and under
it.
juvenile
Yes.
court, the administrative
So
assistant
what you're
for
referring
sure.
to
It's the
with
two,
the
it's
two counting
the
groups that are
juvenile court
showing
judge
questions, those
and
are
the
almost certainly
presiding
going to
juvenile
be
court judge.
provisional counting
They're
group
two that are in
and
question,
absentee
because
by
those are
mail
actually
counting
grant
group.
funded,
Those
and they're
are
actually
redacted on the state
positions that are
website.
mandated
We
by
have
the
nothing to
court.
do
So
with
I'm not sure we have
enhanced
the authority
voting
to say
and
we're
what
gonna abolish them,
criteria
even though they're coming off our
what
payroll.
threshold it
Mandated
is,
by- dated
but
by
that
the
is-
court
Their
and
stance is to maintain
funded by
voter
whom?
secrecy. If you have
The
one
juvenile court
precinct that
judges
has
are
one
funded
absentee by
by
mail
a
ballot,
grant,
that's public
and they're
record.
funded by a
Secretary of State
portion that
publishes
we
an
pay
absentee
through the
voter
Griffin
report.
Circuit that
That
subsidizes
would
their
allow
total
you to
salaries based
tie
on,
that
in addition to that grant.
Will we be
Enhanced
subsidizing if we
has
remove it?
opted to
Yes, I
redact
believe we
that
will be.
information.
Okay, and there's no
But that
guarantee
is
after that
still
whether or not they get
essentially
funded
it's
for the
a-
grants, depending on the state's allocation.
The
of
state's
grants.
website is
that
just a
correct?
statement of
The
votes
grant
cast,
is
just
conditioned
kind of
upon the state
more,
approval,
Right,
yes.
I
okay.
guess
So
aesthetically
we're not
pleasing,
doing
maybe.
10,
You
right?
guys
So
have that
just
statement of votes
So
cast in
eight?
front of you. Maybe
Eight.
it's not
8.
8.
most aesthetically
let's make this
pleasing,
clear now.
compared
Yes,
to
8.
what's on enhanced. But
Then
that is
I'll
what
move
those dashes are.
to remove the
You
7
mentioned the two,
Superior
it's
Court
almost certainly
positions
the
from the
absentee by
Fayette County
mail
payroll,
and provisional counting group.
and then the juvenile court
If you had low
administrative
turnout, that
assistant
could also
from the Fayette County
kick that
payroll.
into that
That's correct.
threshold. If you, I don't know your
Second.
guys'
We
numbers
got a
for
motion and a second.
2025.
Everybody good with that?
But
All in favor
particularly in
say
the primary
aye.
primary
Aye. All
runoff, I
opposed?
would imagine you may have had precincts with fewer than 10 voters. That certainly could have
Item number 2,
let that hit that,
we
not
can
cleared that
ask you
threshold
to
to
vote
be
on it.
displayed to
Basically,
the
it's
public.
just saying that there's
But I
a
guess
net
I would also
increase
still, at the end of the day, redirect those questions
of cost
to
for the Griffin Circuit
vendor
for
and
Fayette County of
Secretary of State.
$12,863.
Move to approve the increase of $12,863
He wears
to
many
the
hats.
Griffin Judicial Circuit.
What is it?
That is his name, but he wears many
Yeah.
hats. I'm not even
Second.
sure
Any
what his
further
title is.
comments?
And so are these,
I'll
is
take
this
it.
number
I just wanted to
affiliated
know if
with
you
the
were aware of
grant
it.
positions, or the number 12,000?
Yeah, it seems like they're doing the same.
Is a
They're
solid number.
redacting as a result.
That,
to keep
this is a solid number, because this actually is based upon the Griffin Circuit's budget that they presented to us based on the allocation, hopefully, that everybody approves in the IGA that you currently have. So this mirrors what we gave you last time. This is actually just truing it up based on that allocation.
Some precincts where it had 200 and they have all the numbers spelled in.
I get it.
It makes no sense for their statement.
Any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
I just
All
wanted to say
opposed?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I don't think we have anything else. I mean, we don't
Item
need
number
any action-
3
any other action
is
to it. I
regarding
guess
our
we could
property and
go ahead
casualty
Go for
insurance.
adjournment, so I would have a motion.
We had initially included in our initial
Okay, adjournment
budget
does not require a
an
second, but I will go ahead and second.
an estimate
All
of
in favor, signify by saying
$1,036,000, simply
We are
because
adjourned.
we
Thank you very
included
much.
an increase that we were not sure of until we got the final numbers. We did get the final numbers in. It is now $924,008. So it's a decrease in the expenditure budget of $112,000. And because that's allocated across all the funds, you can see the breakdown of what the savings would be across the various funds of what would be decreased to bring it to the $924,000. You can see that 76,000 will be, in essence, reduced. The expenditure budget will be less because it's a lesser amount for the insurance.
We don't need to
I mean, do you need a motion?
Yes. we
Okay,
would
then
need-
move to approve the decrease of $112,819 to the property and casualty insurance premium.
Second.
So we got a motion and a second. Anything else? Any other question? We're good with that? All good? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
So in anticipation of those three changes, we did update the various funds, and you can see that the net impact for the general fund is now $547,000, and the other funds are highlighted because they had the savings in the expenditure budget related to the
Seeing as
property
it
and
is now
casualty
3 o'clock, we
insurance.
Go ahead and call our specially called meeting to order.
Budget item number
first item on the
4
agenda
up
is
for
the approval of the
discussion
agenda
is
itself.
an
I would
increase
accept
for
the
elected officials and constitutional officers. We have included a chart here of their current salary and a 5% proposed salary that could take effect on July 1 if it's passed,
Aye.
and then what their new,
That brings us to our public comments.
their new salary would be if this
Speakers
was
will be
approved.
given a 5-minute maximum
to approve
time limit
5%
to speak
increase.
before the Board of Elections about various issues and concerns. Speakers will
Second.
direct comments to the
Got a
board.
motion and
Responses
second.
will
Any
reserve
discussion?
direction to the
The
board.
only
Yes.
discussion I'd have
If there are
is,
any public
Steve,
comments, please
is all
approach
the
the podium.
constitutional officers,
State
all the
your name, your
folks
date, and
listed
your
here,
residence.
have they seen this chart? Because the first time I
Hi,
saw
my
the
name is
chart
Jamie
was
Harmon,
yesterday.
and I am a resident of Fayetteville.
They're all aware of these changes, and this chart was distributed, yes.
Because
And
I
I
have
only
been
received one
certified to run
inquiry,
elections
and
in
it
2
has been
states, in the
addressed.
state of
Is
Mississippi
there
and
anybody
Georgia.
that's in disagreement?
And Tuesday, we had a.
Not that have told me that they're not in favor of a 5% increase, no.
Well, if they didn't tell you, then
There were
I'm
not
assuming
enough
that they approved.
Yeah, when we distributed this to the probate court judge, we went ahead and copied everyone else in this list to make sure they had it as well.
And that should have been known ahead of
The total,
And so-
sorry.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say the total increase to the expenditures for the budget would be the $64,000 if it was all approved, including the FICA and Medicare expense.
and that did not happen.
Eric, you
It's just
finished?
very horrible.
Oh,
Fayette
are these all the constitutional officers?
9 counties in Georgia.
Yes, we have 4 constitutional officers, and the other ones are the elected
That
officers.
was embarrassing.
What do we consider?
It hurt.
The only, well, you're going to be considered on the next slide because we're handling the elected officials, which is the Board of the Board of Commissioners on the next slide because you have to be handled differently.
Okay.
We must not.
But we're considered what?
You'll tell us here in about 5 minutes.
No, he wants to know
No,
if
no,
they're
no.
considered
What are we
elected
considered?
officials.
Elected
Elected
officials.
officials, not
Yes.
don't fall into the Constitution.
That's correct.
category.
This
Thank
list
you.
is actually made up of elected officials, constitutional officers as well.
Elected
The only one
officials and
excluded
constitu-
are Board of
That's
Commissioners.
where I was getting at. Okay,
That's correct.
thank you. Thank you
welcome.
very much. All right.
We have,
So
yes.
it would be up to you to decide whether you want to approve the 5% increase.
And so this
Director
is,
Garrett, do you have any specific comments about
I do.
precinct returns?
Yes. I do want to note
No,
that
the county
Board
coordinators
Member
are
Alexander
paid
was-
based
I'm
on
sorry,
the number of
Vice
cases
Chair
that they actually hold, and they have a
Alexander
base
was granted the
salary. So
opportunity to
they're
come
not the
into
same.
office and do a pre-review. So I wanted to acknowledge that, which is why you don't have as much.
Well, you can add anyone you want to. Right now, he's
as well as
compensated
I-
differently,
my
so he's not a
computers are
salaried
over here
employee.
tussling right now. But also, I wanted to go over the provisionals when we were done, just a little bit, given verbiage there, and give statistics. So, come up.
Okay,
I will say for the record for the coroner, because that'll be, I'll get
for
an
this
email, and maybe it'll save me an
election,
email.
May 19th,
He's considered a department head, so he will be in the same 5% merit as everyone else as we go through that process with our staff.
Okay, that's good.
The problem that I anticipate
I do
is
want
I've
to
been through
publicly
kind of this
apologize
process
because
before.
I
We've approved it, and then we
98%
find out
agree
we've
with
left somebody
everything that
out.
was said during
I
public
think
comment.
the DA's
I did
office was
take
left
a
out
hit.
one
I
time.
did
don't know if that was
miscalculate,
the first
and
term
we
that I
did
was
not
in, or if
have
it's one of the other ones.
enough
But I don't wanna
machines
I don't wanna
to
include
reduce the
somebody that shouldn't
lines
be, and I
at
don't
certain
wanna
polling
not include
locations.
somebody.
So
If-
I
if they
promise
need to be in
and
this
vow
group,
that
we
we're
need
going
to
to
be
go back
approving it
and look
now,
at some things and
instead
make
of
sure that we
finding
make
out we
proper
got a problem.
adjustments going
Well, the
forward.
district attorney, as
If
well
it
as the public
helps
defender,
a
the
little,
public defender's under a
I guess I
contract,
can repeat it at
and the
5
district
o'clock.
attorney is actually
But
split.
on
He has some
Monday,
state employees,
in
he has some
preparation, I did
employees
deploy, 'cause
themselves.
I do wanna
The
make
employees
sure
will be
that I
considered as part of the 5% merit.
notate the steps
The
that I
people
took
that
to
straddle
try
or the
to
people that are
alleviate
state would
throughout
not
the
be,
day.
which is consistent
So
with how
on
we've done it.
Monday, we
The only
did
other
send
people
out
that aren't in this
extra,
mix that I hear about
B&Bs to
as part of the
Brooks,
budget process
Starsville's,
are people
Whitewater,
that we appoint to
Woolsey,
boards. There's a Board of
Kedron, and
Equalization,
Rising
there's
Star. I did overlook
the
Sandy
Board of
Creek. It
Assessors.
should've
You also
went out
have
to Sandy
a
Creek
stipend
as
that you
well,
pay
but I
to
realized that on
ZBA and
Monday-
the Planning
on
Commission.
Tuesday morning,
Those
we sent
stipends and
out,
those things are not included here.
board meetings there.
Part
Should
of
it
what
have
I
been
do,
more?
or the
Absolutely.
way we've
By the
handled the
time
budget in the
we
past,
calculated
is
it,
I don't
it
make
was
recommendations
too
for elected
late to
officials,
not
constitutional
diminish the
appointments,
value of the
or any
office
type of
in
boards that
preparation
you
for
establish.
election.
If you
I
want to
checked in to
change
be able
any
to get that
stipends or
equipment
supplements and
deployed
all
out
that, That's within
During
the
the
board
day,
preview to actually
Europe
decide. If you want
should
me to send
have
you
extra-
a comprehensive list of who's
extra
not here
BMVs during the
tonight,
day.
I
So
will
I
be
wanna
more
be
than glad to
accountable
do
for my
that, and you all
actions.
can give us some
Did
direction.
get 4 additional BMVs.
So if I heard
went
you
out there
correctly, say
myself
you-
to talk to them and the voters and to check things
You don't make a
out, and
recommendation.
They seemed to
Where'd
be
this
well
come
by
from?
the afternoon.
This
So they
recommendation
received
came
4
from a
BMVs
email that I got
by
from the
around
chairman, who
10:30,
wanted me to
11
present a
o'clock.
5% merit associated with
Dogwood
conversations he
received
had
2
with
extra
elected and
BMVs.
So
constitutional
this
So
is
it's
officers.
Shandy
new
Creek,
compared
Oak
to
Ridge,
what we
and Spring
presented at
Hill.
last hearing.
So I agree
That's-
with
that's
my
correct.
husband's,
And this was added by
comment.
our legislative
Oh, and
session.
Woolsey.
Okay.
Yes, and that was the,
Thank
was the
you.
day.
So am I correct? We have a motion and a second. Is that correct? We need to vote on it. Any other questions, comments? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you.
And as mentioned, budget discussion item number 5 is relating to increase for the Board of Commissioners. It is a proposed increase based upon the legislative session in 25. House Bill 85 impacted non-judicial elected officials with their compensation tied to the salary of the Superior Court judges, which is the Board of Commissioners. It froze the compensation permanently, and so there are 2 options available to allow for an increase. One would be the local act of the legislature, and the second would be statutory provisions addressing compensation.
And this one is detailed, so I'm sure at some point Dennis is going to jump in. But this is the House bill that uncoupled the commissioners, just like we uncoupled state court and the solicitor. We handled the state court and solicitor through a local delegation act, which passed and actually went through the legislature, has been approved. So those salaries have been established. Your salaries, in essence, are frozen, and to change those salaries at this point would require additional acts that we could not affect with this budget cycle, but we can put in motion. Nothing has been put in motion at this point. I know there's been some internal discussion, but we haven't gotten any direction from the board. So if you want to give us some direction from the board, Dennis could educate you in regards to what that would be.
So the 2 options that are available to you, one is the local act, the second is per the statute. I'll take the statute first. When you go to review your compensation per the statute, you're prohibited from considering that in an election year between qualifying and the end of the year. So from April or May all the way to the end of the year, you can't take this matter up. The first you can take it up would be in January of 27. You'd have to hold, I believe, 2 public meetings in order to pass an ordinance to increase the pay, and it wouldn't go into effect until January 1 of 29. So it'd be 2 years down the road from 2027. The alternative would be a local act. If you introduced a local act at the General Assembly session beginning in January of 27 and it gets approved, the legislature can make that effective date whenever they want to make it. They can make it upon passage, July 1, January 1 of the following year, whatever the case may be. But those are the 2 options available to you, each with a delayed effective date.
Discussion? Any comment?
This is a new one as well, and you proffered it, you offered it up
I
for our
did.
consideration.
I said it
Well,
needs to be discussed.
I certainly support you in having it discussed, and so with the limitations that Dennis just described in terms of the statutory versus local, those are the 2 options at our disposal.
That is correct.
And then the earliest it would be taken up, if we chose, I guess, a local would be the next legislative session, correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
So I guess, okay,
Go
I'm
ahead.
sorry. I was just going to say, okay, so what kind of timeline are we looking? And I would lean toward a legislative act just because waiting till 2029 for it to go into effect seems like a very, very long period of time. So would we have to submit our request for this legislation by August or September, or when would we need to make our submittal?
That would be advisable, August or September. The message we've received is they like this information well in advance of the beginning of the session.
Right, okay.
And if I could offer, Chairman, we met with Mr. Bonner, the tax commissioner, and the tax assessor to talk about some local acts that passed this year that impacts the assessor's office as well as the tax commissioner's office. And as part of that meeting, when Mr. Bonner was there, we discussed setting up a meeting with him in August because there's other legislative bills that did not pass this session that would still be in the mix. Some of those associated with how the assessments are done for say data centers and sales tax exemptions and those type of things. So we have a laundry list of things we'd like to talk about and set up a meeting. And one of the things he's asked is to have the chairman and the board set up a meeting jointly with our local delegation and perhaps Marty and some other folks to talk about all those issues. So that would be, I guess, an opportune time if you wanted to take this up. If you make a decision prior to that, we can add that to that agenda in August.
Okay, good. We'll make sure that that's this point of discussion. I, for one, am in favor of us making a small adjustment. I think it's two reasons. Number one, I'd like to see qualified, good candidates attracted for this work. Not everybody is as dedicated as Edge, who didn't realize he even got paid for this when he ran, and I commend you for that. But we'll talk about it further down the road. But thank you for giving us this opportunity.
Just a question. One more question.
Sure.
Dennis, can you go back and forth between legislative and statutory down the road? Or if you pick one, you have to stick with it procedurally?
Both options are always available to you with a caveat of the election year prohibition between date of qualifying and end of the year.
Okay, thanks.
We can discuss it now or
Well, I mean,
down
we're
the
doing the
road.
budget now, so we've got new things that are cropping up, and certainly this is one of them for our consideration. So I'd like to make a motion to approve that we advance a legislative, as part of our legislative package, this amendment to have our salaries look
All
at.
right, do we have a second?
Well, if I could, we're going to need some type of indication on what that is, whether it be a hard dollar amount increase above or whether it be a percent of, because each of your salaries are different because of longevity and COLAs and things that have happened and years of
So
service.
have those been worked out, just the same as we worked out the other ones?
Yes, we can work them all out. I just need to know, do you want a 5% increase, 10% increase, $5,000, $10,000? I need a number or I need a percent.
So this is the first or the second of our public hearing?
This is the first of the public
The first
hearings.
of the public hearing, we're required to have, go ahead, Dennis.
If I could just interject,
Sure.
it may be premature to put in a percentage in
Yeah,
now.
that's what I'm-
This won't take effect until your next fiscal year,
That's
July
what I'm
1 at
thinking.
the earliest of '27.
Yeah.
So what you're doing tonight is it won't apply to
It's
the
irrelevant.
budget tonight.
Right.
Right.
Just
So
the act.
that was my thinking with my motion, so.
If it would be helpful, we developed 3 models based on different dollar amounts, and it has all your salaries in it, and if it'd be helpful, I can send that back to you, and then we can discuss it either at the next meeting, or we can do it, as long as we do it by the end of July, we should be teed up so that we can have that conversation in August.
Well, I'm certainly disappointed that those numbers aren't run, and you didn't have a lot to work with, but we certainly had the numbers run for our constitutional colleagues. And so I'll modify my motion to have staff work on those numbers and present it at the next hearing, if I can get a
Yep.
second.
I'd second that. So, do we need to vote on that? Dennis, we do, all in favor?
Well, you hadn't finished the discussion yet.
Okay, all right.
I was chairman for 2 years. Being the chairman is a lot more work than being a commissioner. I have no problem if we could do something. I asked for an opinion, and my opinion that I received back was that we couldn't just deal with the chairman. You know, you're up in Atlanta a couple times a week or a month. I don't know how often you're up there, and when you're up there, it's at least a business day or two, and you're dealing with traffic. And I even asked, is there a way to do a per day or per diem to help. You know, one of the problems that I think Fayette County's got is that we are all part-time commissioners. Most all the other counties that are in the Atlanta district are full-time commissioners. And so the full-time commissioners, and I don't know what they make or anything like that, but I think some of them make $100,000, $150,000, $200,000 a year being in a position like this. Fayette County, the way it's designed, we're not designed to be full-time commissioners. I don't know exactly what our population base is right now, 125,000, something like that. And, you know, I think that this system was set up back when we were a very, very rural county, and that had 15,000, 25,000, something like that. And that's probably all we needed was just part-time commissioners. I'm not suggesting that we go to full-time commissioners or anything like that, but I do think that the chairman, that we ought to be able to recognize the amount of time that the chairman has to put in this position. I will not vote for me to get a pay raise. I'm just telling you that right now. If it includes Eric as a commissioner, then no, I will vote against it. I would do something for, and Lee's not asked me to do this. I just said this when I was having the discussion with him. I said, I can't vote for a pay increase for myself. I did know how much it paid when I first got elected back in 2006. And it has gradually gone up because it was tied to the Superior Court judges. And I think it's fairly nice for a part-time position for what the other four of us, or the other three of us do. And y'all may disagree, and that's fine with me to disagree with that, but I just cannot vote. I can't even consider that for a regular commissioner. I will consider it for the chairman if there was some way that we could work that out, but I understand that there's not a way to work that out because I don't know why, but we rotate the commissioner the way we do at in the beginning of the meeting. So I can't vote for the motion. I don't mind you taking a look and stuff like that. I'm telling you, when it finally comes up for the vote, I'm voting no.
Yes, same here.
Commissioner Maxwell, if I could,
I don't mind taking a look,
Whatever
but
you
I'm
want.
telling you, when it comes to it, I'm voting no.
Yep, same here.
if I could interject in this discussion, I mean, currently, the way you're set up, the chairman is paid more than commissioners. That's how it's set up now. I don't see an issue with treating the position of chairman differently than the position of commissioner, because it's an annual vote to determine who the chairman is going to be. Who the chairman is going to be is going to get that spot that pays what it pays, which is more than the other commissioners. And if you want to just look at that position and then increase that, if that's what the board wants to do, that's certainly an option to consider if you want to do that. It's just going to be a bigger gap between chairman and commissioners.
No, we haven't voted.
Okay, well, just a comment, without meaning anything, but being a commissioner regardless depends on how much time we're willing to put into it as well. And we all, I don't know how much we do, I know I put as much time in as I can in visiting with residents, visiting with organizations, trying to talk with people. It does take time. So if we are going to do something, and we don't ask for ourselves, we're put in this position because of the state changing the law. We've taken the raises, they come, they haven't been annual. I have no issue with addressing this for all the commissioners. We're all not going to be here in 2, 4, whatever, however many years. This is really more for the boards coming down. So it's a very difficult situation we've been put in because we no longer have this automatic, when the Superior Court judges get their increase, we get an increase. It doesn't work that way anymore. So going to have to talk about it at some time, but I don't see any reason to separate because we're all commissioners, we all work. The chairman has other responsibilities. I've been there, I know what they are. So you still have to do this job. And I think we all put time in, don't know what the different degrees are, but I don't think that we can separate one and say that one is special in what he's been voted to do. But everybody up here is voted to attend to all the residents and citizens of this county. So if it comes, I'll decide at that time, but that's my feeling right now.
And so let me clarify a few things. One is a very rare proposition that the people that are associated with county government as elected officials are full-time. That's rare. That's not in the percentages are very low considering that. Secondly, I've heard a couple of times when we broached this issue about constitutional officers and elected officers knowing what they get when they sign up to run. It's been mentioned again tonight. And so yet we know that the constitutional officers have a set salary, but repeatedly in the last, 4 or 5 years, we've done this 2-3 times? Am I correct, Mr. Administrator?
We've done it a few times, yes.
Yeah, and so their salary was set, and I can't take exception in saying that on the average, we're generic at best. I give an exorbitant amount of time to my community and to the community at large with respect to doing these duties honorably, ethically, and at a very high standard. And I do respect my time. Not my time for pay, but my time for effort and commitment. And so that's why I am asking my colleagues to have a different approach or mindset to this, while we can continuously raise other constitutional officers who have set salaries based upon running for office, and then ignore the work and contributions that many of us make. I take exception. And so I'm asking my colleagues, as they've proffered their position that, in the final analysis it's a firm no, that's fine. And then when we talk about, Dennis, as you mentioned, there is a separation with respect to the duties of the chairman, and the chairman does get a different pay scale. And that's fine, that's probably warranted. But I have sat here for just shy of 11 years and been told that I could never become chairman by some of the current members sitting on the board, because they will not vote for me to be chair. And so if it was about money, then that would never be an issue for me. And so I'm very concerned that under this current climate, economic status, and the disingenuous thing of we know when we signed up, but yet we repeatedly offer raises for others, my price of milk and eggs and gas still went up as well. It's not an equation simply for that. It's just saying the value of the commitment and time, and I say that to the public, and I'm willing to meet with anyone to advance that conversation, that it's not simply about money. It is about our time, our effort, our commitment, our ethical standard, our moral fiber, and our compass with respect to serving admirably as an elected official in any jurisdiction, in this case, in Fayette County. And so those are my sentiments, Mr. Chairman. I would ask for a favorable vote, just as we included the votes that we just made about constitutional officers that didn't come before us, as Eric said, just a day ago, but yet no inclusion of, well, there is an inclusion of us, and we're asking for guidance to just look at the numbers. However you vote after that, that's fine, but I'm not going to devalue my time and my commitment to what I do on behalf of the residents of Fayette County. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Those are my comments.
Other questions or comments? So currently we have a motion on the floor. Can you clarify the motion, just so I'm sure I want to get it right?
To have staff come back to us in the next hearing with several options related to the percentages, but certainly for an advanced legislative package to go to the delegation to consider
okay.
Commission raising.
All right.
Or an adjustment in our structure. Is that right, Dennis? The structure is there, we just have to make adjustments.
And that's for all 5 positions, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't have any differentiation between, yeah.
Everybody good? All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed?
Nay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Marlena.
Such quietness.
There we go. All right, budget discussion, item number 6 relates to planning and zoning for a request from Commissioner Rousseau, and this relates to costs related to a potential part-time or full-time position in the planning and zoning department here at the county. While staff does not recommend creating a position due to changes in the OTC process, part of the online process will start and move back to the finance department. and citizens can enter the data into the SAGES system on-site or off-site. They have a portal that's available for them to go on and request that, the application for an OTC or / business license. As you can see, the part-time zoning technician is around 29,000, and the full-time is around 69,000.
Thank you, staff. Thank you, Mr. County Administrator, for producing this for me. And as I look at it, I obviously saw something because we're suggesting that we took another look and decided there's some ways that we can relieve the pressure on this particular department. So there was something there, in my humble opinion, and with the increase in zoning applications, so forth and so on, I see this as a continuation going into the very near future. And while I'll defer at this particular time for your judgment because you've gone back and done a reassessment, I certainly see that that department, in my humble opinion, and looking at it, interacting with it, may warrant some additional assistance. But at this time, unless another one of my colleagues wants to advance this, I think we have a great deal of pressure on that particular department, moving into our comp plan and all the things that go with that. Warranted a reevaluation, which you seemingly have done. And so, again, I see that there's something there which made this modification, but I'm going to, at this particular time, defer to your professional judgment and reassessment of this situation. So something was warranted, and I'm glad to see a move was made. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Is any other discussion on that? Nope. Everybody good? All right. Item 7.
There is no item 7.
Okay.
You'll have to wait 2 more weeks. This is the cliffhanger. So again, this is again to look at the same slides that we look at each time, and you can see our projections for fiscal year 26 like you saw at the beginning, except this time it's in a bar chart format, and you can compare it to the previous years as well. Again, the slide that included options 1, the discussion items 1, 2, and 3 has been updated, and you can see that reflected in the tiny dots over proposed fiscal year 27. Again, the highlights, everything is remaining the same, except that the increases that the impact to general fund is now going to be a positive 547, 154 after those changes that were in items 1, 2, and 3. Any changes after that would be in the next budget hearing, along with any future items that may pop up between now and the 25th. So we will have our next meeting at 5 o'clock on June 25th. That will be the final hearing, and we would be asking at that time, including the future items for discussion, that you would adopt the resolution to adopt the budget for fiscal year 27.
Very good. Any questions? Everybody good? Thank you, Cheryl.
Thanks, Cheryl. You have to have a public hearing, though.
Oh, okay. Thank you. So with this being a public hearing, if there are those in the audience that would like to make comments at this time about or ask questions about our proposed budget, you may certainly come and do so. Seeing none, I bring this back to, Okay. Okay. Okay, Alice. Good afternoon, Alice Jones.
Good afternoon. How's everybody doing? Great, 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 great. I am so pleased at Ms. Cheryl and the knowledge and abilities that she has, that she presents to this team and to her staff. She and I met on Tuesday, and I have a financial background as well. And some of the things that she went over with me was very admirable about specifically the data center, and knowing that the data center got abatements. I don't know to what extent the abatement was issued. I always ask in every setting that I attend when it refers to data centers, and we know the climate now and what's happening with data centers. Restrictions. What kind of restrictions has been set, or is there any restrictions set for people who have been taxpayers over longevity? I consider them stakeholders in the county, paying taxes, and yet have to be subjected to large transmission power lines and not knowing exactly whether or not those power lines can cause neurological conditions, mentally, physically, etc. And it's extending. It's getting massive, not just on 54, but in Tyrone and other areas. And when you ride down areas like Graves Road, even Veterans Parkway, and see the extensiveness of those poles, it's devastating. I think as a county commissioner and county administrator, we need to appeal to the state of Georgia to put a moratorium on eminent domain. That is one thing that needs to happen desperately, because I'm not an official person. I'm just an advocate for righteousness. And when people of all colors call me and ask me what could be done, how could we protect our investment, people who've worked all of their lives and live here in this county, and they have to be subjected to either you take the money and run, or you take the money and you stay here, and it devalues their property tremendously. I don't know whether any of you have been affected to any of this, but I feel really bad that people have to be subjected to accepting a pay or compensation in lieu of staying in their property with a high transmission power line in front of their house. This is really bad, and we as Fayette County, I think we can do better. Budget-wise, like I said, I don't know what kind of revenue is driven, and not to even consider the fact that it hurts the power distribution to the homes, but also the water and the water quality. This is something that Cheryl and I talked about. And if you all ride those corridors, you can see exactly what I'm talking about. There is no payoff Georgia Power or any company can give to resurface or bring about the type of lifestyle that people live that are affected by large power lines. Secondly, I would love to see the projects that was presented by Phil Mellon and his team proceed as Commissioner Russo and I talked about, and that is the bike trails, walk trails, as you have in Peachtree City. I may not be here when it's completed. I may not be alive, I told you that. But it's a plan that may be workable for the new generation, the Gen Zers or the future. We're talking probably 5-10 years or even greater down the road that this is going to happen. But for right now, I would love to see the process of doing an expansion, especially on Highway 279 when I come to Fayetteville. I came late because I call it the road most traveled. Everything that's coming into the pavilion, everything that's coming from north into Fayetteville comes down 279. To the airport, 279. And Mr. Rapson, I missed you the other day, and my regrets for the cause, but anytime this kind of thing happens, please just text me again and tell me I'm not going to make it. But nonetheless, the meeting with Cheryl was very progressive. I just want to say one other thing too. The staffing here in Fayette County, we need to really revisit it, look at it. I don't know who is in charge or what, but many of the taxpayers here in the county are complaining about not having anybody that looked like me in the licensing office or the property tax office. Whether the person in charge is an elected official or not, we need to have a discussion. We don't want this thing to go public, but we really need to look at it and revisit it and make sure that there is a better representation in those offices. That's it. Thank you. Any question of me?
Thank you, Alice.
All right.
Are there other comments that'd like to be made concerning our budget? Seeing none, I close the public hearing. The next item on the is public comment. The speakers were given a 5-minute maximum time limit to speak before the Board of Commissioners about various topics, issues, and concerns. Speakers must direct comments to the board. Responses are reserved at the discretion of the board. Are there those in the audience that would like to come during public comment and speak at this time? Seeing none, I close public comment. The consent agenda is next. What's the pleasure of the board?
Move to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any discussion or comments? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? No old business, new business. Is this Mr. Rapson, is this you? Yes, number 11.
Yeah, item number 11 is the IGA is actually for the Griffin Circuit between Fayette County. It'll include Fayette County, Pike, Spalding, Upson, and also the Griffin Circuit itself. So this is actually the IGA that we gave to the judges. I believe, was it Upson? Who just approved it? Pike County just approved it, and the other counties are scheduled to approve it. This will be the allocation associated with how the Griffin Circuit is actually allocated among the jurisdictions in regards to the new budget that the Griffin Circuit's taken before them.
Mr. Chairman, move to approve the IGA between with the Griffin Judicial Circuit.
Second.
I got a motion and a second. Any discussion, questions?
Just to say thank you to Steve and Dennis, whoever else were in the meetings. I don't know who all was in the meetings. but
It
I
was
know
primarily two of us, yes.
Yeah, I know it was primarily the two of y'all, and I'd get interim reports, and I'm glad that y'all were able to work it out. There were times that I worried that we weren't going to reach an agreement, and I hope that the other counties agree to it as well, because that's still
Yes.
an open thing.
We're being told that everyone's agreeing that they're actually putting it on the agenda to get it approved this month, so,
Well, let's hope.
yes.
Charles?
No, I was just going to ask Dennis with that last comment that Eric just made, you know, what if they don't? And are we stuck?
There are always remedies. We'll figure out which remedy applies here.
So you want me to, see,
I believe that's optimism.
Spades, I have a possible here.
Optimism.
And I don't know if I want to vote on that possible. Okay, I know last time we had a conversation about, you know, the other jurisdictions agreeing to their portion of the terms. And so you have no serious reservations that cannot be worked out if they don't agree? Would it come back to us? How would that work?
I mean, the one area that I think caused the most concern was the methodology to use to allocate between the different counties. And once we determined that there is a state website that lists all reported cases of all counties in the state of Georgia, and we focused on those 4 counties, and we put the web address in the IGA, so any of the 4 counties can look and see, here's the number we're using, and until that number changes, that's going to be the percentage, and it should change every year, and we'll revisit it if that's the case. But it's an objective number that we have no influence over. It happens from the state, and that, I think, was the one sticking point that could have caused some problems, but having that objective standard really helped out.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Attorney. So you're comfortable?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
I'd just like to thank, I'd like to thank Dennis and Mr. Rapson and Jason for being diligent, whatever the word, in not giving up and staying after it and working hard. Y'all did a yeoman's task in terms of staying after this, because this was not easy. I made one visit and I realized this was way outside my scope, and I got back in my lane. So anyway, but thank you guys. I do appreciate that.
Thank you.
Without further ado, if all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you, guys. Property and casualty, number 12. What's that?
I can handle this one as well. This is the one we actually discussed. We actually just made an amendment in the budget for it. This is just a revised association, the ACCG Property Casualty Insurance Renewal.
We're pleased.
Yes, we are pleased.
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve the property and casualty insurance coverage in the amount of $924,008 to ACCG.
Second.
So I got a motion and a second. Any other discussion, questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Board of, yes.
Come on, Leanne.
Ms. Bartlett.
Good afternoon, gentlemen.
Can you-
What you have before you is the denial of a request for disposition of a tax refund for United Spirit of America doing business as being for Win Your Battles. The assessed value on this personal property account is less than what was actually reported by the taxpayer on the personal property return form. We cannot identify an error that was made in the assessor's office. We used what the taxpayer reported to us to arrive at our value, and therefore we are requesting the denial of the refund.
Well, Mr. Chairman, move to deny the refund in item 13.
Second.
Any other questions or? Speak into the mic, please.
Is there a representative of United Spirit of America doing business as Warrior Win Your Battles to argue the other side? You're
Not
not?
that I'm aware of.
That makes it easy.
Any other discussion, guys? Do I have a motion? Got a motion, second, thank you. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you,
All
gentlemen.
opposed? Thank you, Leanne. Mr. Rapson, is this
Mr. Chair, if you'd like me to take the next one, is in dealing with an issue we discussed some time back where two structures were approved on a residential piece of property, and two structures combined, although permitted individually, together were not legal as far as following our code. However, the substantial expenditure to the property owner in conjunction with our approvals make it difficult to say to them to adjust one of those buildings because of the process that they went through. You decided that it's in the best interest of the county and the property owners to enter into an agreement with that property owner so that as long as those buildings stood, you would allow them to stand. You even offered an option to enclose the breezeway between the two structures to make it one structure at the county expense. That's part of this document before you this evening. In the alternative, if they didn't do that, if one of the structures is destroyed, burned down, etc., they could not bring back status quo. And it's a little complicated because one structure is the primary residence, the second structure is a garage, but it has substantially more heated square footage than is allowed in an accessory structure. They understand this agreement If the house is the one that's burned down, then before a permit can issue for the house, the garage would have to be modified with a permit to meet our code before a permit would issue for the house. They understood all of that. They agreed to all of that. The one issue is the enclosure of the breezeway. At this point, they don't want to enclose the breezeway, but they would like to have that option open to them until the end of this year. I thought that was consistent with the spirit of what you all discussed, so that is still included. They have until the end of this year to make that option should they choose to do so. They've already executed the agreement that's in front of you. To the extent you want to take action tonight to approve it as well, it'll be in final form if that occurs. Any questions, happy to answer them.
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve the agreement with Neil W. McEwen and Patricia H. McEwen.
Second.
Any further discussion on that?
Dennis, just a quick question. Do you see any benefit of waiting till they make a decision to put it all together, or just should we piecemeal it like that?
From their perspective, the benefit to them is
Peace of mind.
they like their breezeway. They don't want to have it enclosed, and enclosing it is going to change the character of the actual structures themselves. So if they decide, okay, that's the best interest, we just need some time to get comfortable with that. So they have to the end of the year to make that decision. If they don't, it's just going to be the way it is unless something happens to one of the buildings.
And then our ordinances, current day, will kick in,
Correct.
not what they were approved under previously.
Correct.
All right. Thank you.
Any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, thank you. Item 15.
The next one is consideration of a resolution 2026-12 to provide a homestead exemption from Fayette County ad valorem taxes. This is the L host that we're actually trying to squeeze into this special session. And so this needs to be approved tonight so we can actually meet all the deadlines associated with this special session.
If I could just interject, Mr. Chairman, to further
Sure.
complicate matters, this is something that not just has to be approved by Fayette County, but also has to be approved by each of the cities in Fayette County, because this does more than levy a tax or collect a tax. It actually redefines what the homestead exemption is, and so each city would have to do that as a taxing jurisdiction. So we're trying to coordinate all efforts, and it's a bit challenging, but we're making some good progress.
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve Resolution 2026-12.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any other discussion?
Yeah, we got a letter, I guess, yesterday from the 5 mayors that deal with this particular issue. I've not had a chance to talk with any of the mayors or what their issue is, but certainly one of the arguments they made is this will change the way that they receive taxes, and particularly for minimally developed cities, it'll have a significant impact. And I'm not smart enough to be a state legislator or a representative or a senator. They're much more smarter than us because they let this stuff flow down on us and stuff. I think there's going to need to be a lot of education to the public on what this is about. It changes the way that taxes are collected, I believe, and what's taxed and when it's taxed and stuff like that. And anytime you do a big change like that, it's just going to take. Now, I don't think that the commission or individuals, I don't think we can go out there and say, vote for this and we want this. We're going to make a vote in a minute on the resolution to do it. But it's more like a Chamber of Commerce or a Rotary Club type issue, I think. Now, I don't know what kind of meetings the county can hold to educate the public or put in paper and stuff like that, because this stuff is just not the easiest stuff to understand.
If I could add, Commissioner Maxwell, this became news to us Thursday afternoon of last week, and it was all we could do just to meet the noon deadline Friday to put an ad in the paper that ran this past Wednesday, which is required to even get it to the legislature. So there have been no substantive discussions about the actual bill itself, just putting the notice to make us eligible to be considered to the extent we want to be. Let me point out two things in the legislation before you in the resolution. There is a start date, assuming the referendum which is called for in the proposed legislation is successful to levy this L-host, this local homestead option sales tax, to begin January 1st, 2027. The problem is the new legislation in 2026 has made so many changes. January 1, 2027 may not be an applicable date, but we don't know that either. But we had to put a date in there. And the other issue is, how long in the question do you want this levy to occur? The statute will allow it to occur as long as 10 years. You'll see on page 5 of the resolution, it's blank years. I need to understand what you want to put in that blank in order to send this up to the legislature.
And see, that's part of the problem, because the way this is written, and I know that it was written because that's the way that it needs to be written, it talks about imposing a local homestead option sales tax. That's a scary term, to impose a local option, because you don't know what the meaning of that is. I think if our representative or senator was standing up there, they'd say, well, we're trying to minimize taxes. That's what they're going to say. But we're the ones that's going to bear the brunt of approving some tax stuff. And I probably would agree that this is a better thing for the overall county. But every time a county commissioner does something, and they taught me this in the first week of county commission school in December before I took office, the first vote you make half the public mad at you. And the second vote that you take, you make the other half mad at you. It doesn't matter what you do, you're always in a losing position on this, and this is dealing with taxes, and I'm not real comfortable with not with your explanation. I'm comfortable with your explanation. I'm not comfortable with my knowledge base on how this is going to work and what it's going to, the kind of impact it's going to have to the various, to the county, to the cities, to the small cities, towns. So it's hard to say. And then when you're under a time crunch like this, I mean, Peachtree City, Tyrone, Fayetteville, the other two cities, they got to sign off on this. Legislation starts next week, doesn't it?
Begins on the 17th.
17th. Yeah. Well, they've given us a lot of time to consider and to do this. And, I don't want to say no. I don't know enough to say no or yes. But if we don't say yes tonight, that forecloses the issue, doesn't it?
Yes. It does. Saying yes tonight doesn't mean it's going to happen. It means the discussion can get started.
Right.
The theory behind this, and again, I must stress, it's the theory, because that's subject to change once it gets in the hands of the legislature. Yep. The 1% tax would go to strictly homestead exemptions for property owners in Fayette County. That's all it can be used for. So
and that
whatever
sounds
you collect
great.
goes
That
to
sounds
that.
great.
Yeah. That's the way it is today. That's the way it is right now.
I share my colleague, before you conclude, I share my colleague's sentiment. And so you say we need to have a date. It has impacts for our municipalities, our municipal partners. Do you know if they've called a special call meeting? What's their deadline?
The best way to describe this is we know the special session starts on June 17th. The special session ends when it ends. So if it lasts a week and something is not sent up there in that week, it's not considered. I can tell you with certainty that all of the cities in Fayette County and Fayette County have put in the proper advertising to be eligible to send a local act up there. That's been done. That was coordinated last Friday.
Okay.
Now, the other part of that, however...
Hold on, let me stop you there, and I apologize. Do they have to act as a body and make a formal vote, or Can the mayors act on their own?
It is more than the mayor acting on his or her own, because they're changing the methodology and the definition behind a homestead exemption and how they have approved it in the past. It's a broader definition. It means every city has to have their local act before the legislature, just like the county. Typically, the county would be on a county tax, and it would be through an IGA with the cities. This is different because it's going to be a referendum question for everyone. The city residents would have to vote for it in the city as well as the county, but they all have to have local acts. And
Yeah.
I'm doing my best just to keep Fayette County and Tyrone up to
Right.
speed. I don't know what's happening with Peachtree City and the others, so.
So you mentioned referendum for the second time. So you're anticipating something on the November ballot?
This local act, if passed,
Yeah.
has a question in there already.
Okay.
On page 4 and 5, I believe, and it says what that question is. Part of this local act pursuant to the bill that authorizes the L-host is to have a referendum in order to have the electors determine whether or not they want to have this in their jurisdiction. If the answer is yes, it's implemented. January 1, 2027 is the earliest possible date. The blank is for no more than 10 years, but that blank's got to be filled in. The downside to putting in January 1, 2027 is if the funding isn't properly funded by the legislature, then you may miss a year on the homestead. But that's just the potential downside.
And so this is an individual by county vote or statewide? If I heard you say the local.
Individual counties
Yeah.
are making this determination, but you
And
also
for the
need the
referendum in
cooperation of
November.
the cities as well.
And for the referendum in November,
In November
not a
of this year,
statewide
correct.
initiative? Okay.
It's not a statewide initiative, it's going to be for each county. If the ca-
That's
there-
what we're
yeah,
saying.
There are
the same
probably
thing.
going to be like 6 or 7 counties total that put something into the legislature, to my understanding. I'm not sure. That's my guess.
So I'm with Eric now. Why should it? If it's 6 or 7?
Yeah, just a comment. Okay, usually when the state tells us something, it costs us. And this theoretically is a situation we've all heard about. People are complaining about property taxes. What are we going to do with excess tax? This, my understanding, is basically a net allocation of funds. We will have 1 penny tax that will go to offset across the board the homestead exemption for primary residents. So the taxpayer is not actually spending more. We're adjusting how they're spending their money, but we're lowering property tax. If we have an opportunity to discuss that, hopefully that's the case, then I would love to have something like this, but I don't want to miss the opportunity to talk about it. So if they're putting us up against the wall with this deadline, I couldn't vote against this. I want to make sure we get input in this and find out if that's so. Well, then certainly I think taxpayers would love to reduce their property tax, and this would be one way to do it. And it should be a net, it all washes out after the first year. I think the first year we collect the tax, and the second year we start applying it to the homestead exemption. So it's something we really need to talk about. I would never vote no against this one. There's a lot of them I would have voted no against. This one, I think we need to let it go forward.
Quick question. We can't go below the 10-year recommendation?
The 10 years is the maximum.
Max.
That's the most you can do. You want to do less than that, do less than that.
So that needs to be part of the,
Yeah, we need you to tell us 10 years.
Or something. Fill that blank in.
We can
Five.
always,
Do
we
5.
can,
Go ahead.
we can always go back with additional local legislation later, right?
Yes, you should be able to, yes.
Okay, then I'll amend my motion to include up to 10 years.
Was there a motion?
So
To-
rather than up to 10 years, would you say 10 years?
10 years. To have it be 10 years. Fill in the blank with 10 years in my motion.
I'll second it in case.
okay, so we got a motion and a second. Is everybody clear on what we're talking about?
No. Yes.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you. Administrators reports.
I sent you a copy of the hot project update, so you have an update on the multipurpose facility, Darren Drive culvert replacement, Cross Creek culvert replacement, Brandon Mill culvert replacement, Justice Center build-out, Kenwood Road Morning Creek Bridge, Crosstown Generator Project. In addition to that, I wanted to give you an update on where we are in regards to coordinating a comp plan comprehensive analysis with the city of Fayetteville. Fayetteville actually has a recommendation on their June 18th meeting for a vendor that their purchasing department and our purchasing folks went to the selection committee to actually recommend. If that gets approved on June 18th, the following day we will approach that same vendor for a separate contract to piggyback off that contract so that we can do a joint comp plan with Fayetteville. That's the plan. I will tell you that both the city staff as well as the county staff are very excited about the possibility of making this happen. So hopefully we will be there on June the 19th. So that's all my update. Thank you.
Attorney reports.
Mr. Chairman, I have 5 items for executive session this evening, 3 involving threatened litigation, 1 pending litigation, and the last is to review your executive session minutes from May 28th, 2026. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Commissioners reports.
Mr. Chair, I'll go first. Thank you to the staff, particularly staff at the library. I saw the advertisement for the overwhelming response of our community to the summer children's program, so kudos to our team for that kind of outreach. Ms. Velma Kelly, I did receive your letter regarding the car show, and feel free to reach out to me. And then also, did I hear something about our website being certified or something to that nature?
You want to brag on that a little bit, Tamika? Here's your opportunity. Use your microphone, please.
Yeah, like you always tell me.
We have a state requirement that our website, all government websites, be in compliant, ADA, web accessible, and provide accessibility. And so we did get a report that our website is at 100% compliant, and just wanted to thank our staff and our department heads and those that help with our website for doing their part to make sure that that occurred.
Well, congratulations to the team and the leadership for that accomplishment as well. And then I'll end with, I know during the discussion about pay and so forth, so I heard that there were conversations with Representative Bonner and others, but I didn't hear the other people of the delegation. I'm encouraging us to have them have conversations instead of us acting on individual basis. It's meaningful for us to have as much cohesion as we possibly can between our delegation. Thank you. Those are my comments, Mr. Chairman. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Other comments? Sure. Joe, go ahead.
Real quick, nothing about business here today. Sunday is Flag Day, and I just wanted to remind everybody, today we celebrate the flag. It was officially designated on August 3rd of 1949, so it's been around for a while, and it was started by a school teacher a number of years ago. But that flag, and I'm sure like to many people, means an awful lot. And my father was in World War II. My uncles all fought. We have so many people now still under that flag protecting us. It's something that should be very valuable to all of us. And it would be wonderful if as many of you can, we put our flag out on June 14th. It's also the start of Flag Week, which starts June 14th through June 20th to display the flag. So I just think it's a great thing to do, and it really can help unify us because we have a lot of things going on in this country. We really need something to draw us together. And those colors, the stars, when you think about it, they do draw us together. So those are my comments. Just wanted to share that.
Thank you. Other comment?
Yeah, I'll just piggyback off of Chuck's comment that the 14th of June is also the Army's birthday. 251 years ago, 14 June, the senior service was constituted. Thanks.
I was trying not to say that.
That's duly noted.
Chairman, if I could note, June 19th is also a holiday for us next Friday, so June 10th. I want to make sure we put that in the record,
Okay.
Juneteenth.
Right.
Thank you for that reminder. There's a program at the courthouse.
Exactly.
I had the privilege yesterday of attending the opening of the intersection of Veterans Parkway and Highway 92, and the naming of it is Randall Johnson intersection, and Randall was there with his family and everything, and it was a wonderful thing. There's about 100 of us there. Randall's truck was right there. The license plate that Randall has is 8 terms, number 8 terms. And I think, I've been doing this a long time because I'm in my 4th term. I can't imagine doing 8 terms. But it was good to see him. He looked like he was in good health. And I was happy to attend that. I guess piggybacking on what was just said on Flag Day and veterans and stuff like that, I had the privilege of being in France the last couple weeks, and I was at Omaha Beach on the 4th of June, which was 2 days before the anniversary. And there's a lot of reenactors that go there. Of course, you can't reenact a battleship and those kind of things, but a lot of reenactors that had Jeeps there and their uniforms there and their motorcycles, and it's such an experience. And if you've never had an experience to go to Omaha Beach or that little war theater and to walk through the cemetery and have the experience of going through that and what those guys must have gone through whenever they were fighting for us. And of course, there's hardly any of them left at all now. But it was just amazing. I've done it twice now. I did it 40 years ago and I did it last week. So I encourage everybody to do that. We talked about the budget today. I will not be here next meeting. It's my wedding anniversary next Thursday, or in 2 Thursdays.
So what's the point?
And so I'd much rather be with my wife than to be with you guys or in this room. So I won't be here, but I wanted, the reason why I point that out, I support this budget. I hope that everybody can live with it. Sheila, I think you're going to be happy. You hadn't got to talk to us yet. You walked in late. You didn't see our boat. But we will, you know, I won't be here to vote for it, but I support it, and I would vote for it if I was going to be here.
Yes, same here.
Thank you. I don't have any comments. Do I have a motion to go into executive session?
So moved.
Second.